I'm going to say one thing. Fuck Trump.
He's a punk. He's a dog. He's a pig. He's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework.
It's no longer down with Trump. It's fuck Trump.
Robert De Niro unleashed. Fuck Trump. This wasn't a movie script, it was real life, live on television. The standing ovation was loud, but no one was louder than Trump's meltdown the next day. What did the former president say, and why is De Niro doubling down? You don't want to miss this face-off. Before we continue, if you appreciate this content, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe. It's free and it helps our channel grow. Thank you. Now back to the video. What happens when Robert De Niro fires off against Trump in front of a live audience? Things get messy fast. At a recent award show, De Niro didn't hold back, calling Trump a clown and declaring that he belongs in a courtroom, not anywhere near the White House.
Does it give you some sense, not of joy, but of relief at least, that he's potentially facing some consequences? Because as you've said before, this guy's a con artist and he's gotten away with it for years.
I'm not calling him, I'm tired of calling him names. He just can't be anywhere near the office of the presidency. It's funny, I was just thinking that he actually became president. He could have done good things. Instead, he had to do it all wrong.
The crowd erupted. We're talking cheering, clapping, and a standing ovation so loud it might have been heard all the way in Mar-a-Lago. The moment wasn't just theatrical, though with De Niro being one of Hollywood's most decorated actors, it had every bit of that drama. It was direct, harsh, and clearly meant to make Trump squirm. De Niro isn't new to this kind of verbal smackdown. Back in 2018, at the Tony Awards, he stepped onto the stage, held a mic, and before even starting his intended speech, let out a thundering, "Fuck Trump." It was brief, unfiltered, and yet it became one of the most repeated sound bites from that year. That moment cemented him as one of Hollywood's most vocal Trump critics, and it wasn't for shock value. Over time, he's backed up his words in interviews, public appearances, and even political fundraisers, repeatedly accusing Trump of corruption, ineptitude, and what De Niro seems to see as an almost cartoonish lack of self-awareness.
We've heard you talk about the former president. You have called him a fraud, a con artist. You've said he's a New Yorker like you, and you have watched this brand of BS.
I think of how absurd it is. And this might be the one case where that could be it for him. It's a state case. He's sick. He is really, genuinely a sick person that somehow has been allowed into our system.
But let's rewind a bit for some extra context that makes De Niro's rebellion hit harder. Trump wasn't always derided by Hollywood elites. In fact, in the early 2000s, he basked in the glittering light of celebrity culture, thanks to The Apprentice, which solidified him as a big name in households across America. Trump had a period where he was welcomed at glamorous events alongside famous actors and musicians. The entertainment industry helped elevate his brand, making his eventual political rise plausible. And De Niro? Well, he's an A-lister from the same industry, a towering figure who arguably helped build that very world where Trump thrived. So to hear someone like him rip apart Trump's public persona isn't just an insult. It's more like someone flipping the entire script on how Hollywood once treated Trump as a commodity, not a controversy. What really seemed to sting, though, was the timing. Coming out during an award show, a venue where celebration and artistry mix with occasional potshots at politics, De Niro's statements felt like throwing gasoline on an already burning culture war fire. And it's important to note the reaction. Audience members weren't just in agreement, they were emotionally there.
You've played a lot of bad guys. Would you ever play Donald Trump?
Never. There's nothing about him, there's not one redeeming thing in him that I can see ever. He's so, as we all know, so narcissistic and self-centered. I don't think they really understand. And historically, from what I see, even in Nazi Germany. They had it with Hitler.
People jumped to their feet. It wasn't a ripple of applause. It was a roaring moment of solidarity, proof that De Niro wasn't just speaking for himself, but for a huge swath of Americans who feel exactly the same. The standing ovation lasted so long, it almost threatened to overshadow the rest of the night. And of course, when the clip of De Niro's comments hit the internet, things escalated. Within hours, it was all over social media. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, memes poured in, videos of people dissecting the speech popped up, and hashtags like #DeNiro and #Trump meltdown started trending. For those who opposed Trump, it became a rallying cry. De Niro wasn't just a guy venting on stage. He was, in their eyes, a cultural symbol taking a stand against what they see as Trumpism run wild. But no confrontation with Trump stays one-sided for long. True to form, Trump himself rushed to his keyboard. Well, to his version of one. Over on Truth Social, he fired back in the only way he knows how: insults. Trump didn't mince words, calling De Niro a washed-up actor and tossing in enough snark to fill a season of reality TV. It's clear by his own reaction that those words, that standing ovation, and the flood of online support struck a very personal nerve. For someone who built so much of his brand on image, being publicly dragged by someone like De Niro, a man who's often regarded as one of the greatest actors of his generation, cuts deep. Now this back and forth could have ended there. De Niro could have let his statement speak for itself and watched the meltdown unfold from the sidelines. But no, that's not how De Niro operates. Teasing what was to come next, he wasn't content just taking aim at Trump from the safe and polished stage of an award show. No, he decided to step straight into the trenches, and by trenches, I mean the actual streets, bringing his fight directly to Trump's most vocal supporters. Because for De Niro, whether he's delivering dialogue on a film set or trading insults off screen, confrontation has never been something he's shied away from. What's clearer than ever is that this wasn't just one fiery speech. This was just the beginning of a much bigger, messier moment. Robert De Niro is used to commanding a stage, but recently, he swapped the polished lights of Hollywood for the busy sidewalks of Manhattan, turning a courthouse protest into his latest and arguably grittiest performance. Picture the scene. Trump supporters gathered outside the Manhattan Criminal Court where their loud chants and signs backed their political idol during his legal troubles. Enter De Niro, seething with the kind of energy reminiscent of his most intense roles. Eyewitnesses described a chaotic clash as the actor traded expletive-laden insults with the crowd. De Niro's voice cut through the noise as he shouted, "This isn't a reality show," a stark jab at Trump's TV-fueled beginnings. When confronted with the usual cries of fake news, his quick retort landed just as harsh. "Open your goddamn eyes." It wasn't hard to imagine this moment as a live-action riff straight out of Taxi Driver. There he stood face to face with some of Trump's most loyal backers, like a modern-day Travis Bickle taking on the gritty streets of 2024 Manhattan. It felt almost cinematic, a cultural collision playing out in real time. Protesters fired back with insults of their own, creating a back-and-forth exchange that highlighted the deep divide pulsing through the crowd. A bystander reportedly remarked, "This ain't the Irish, man. This shit's real." And it was. De Niro wasn't playing a character anymore. He wasn't on a movie set. This face-off was unscripted, personal, raw. But this confrontation wasn't just a surprising headline. It was a vivid sign of the times, specifically how America's political discourse has bled into every corner of life. Traditionally, celebrities kept their activism within a controlled bubble, speeches at award shows, carefully worded tweets, and perhaps the occasional campaign commercial. De Niro, however, tore right through that bubble and dove headfirst into the crowd, leaving no room for neutrality. For many, it felt like a cultural shift. Celebrities once accused of sitting on the sidelines during politically turbulent times are now taking up the fight, literally in the streets. And based on De Niro's response to the Trump supporters that day, this wasn't decorum. This was unfiltered activism. Some couldn't help but draw parallels between De Niro's bold stance and the iconic characters he's played over the years. There's the unhinged Travis Bickle, whose growing frustration with injustice leads him to fight back against a society he finds broken. Then there's Jimmy Conway from Goodfellas, with his knack for sniffing out cons and calling them as he sees them. Or even Jack Burns from Meet the Parents, the ever-skeptical patriarch who doesn't take kindly to being lied to. It's as if these roles have seeped into De Niro's public persona persona, turning him into a walking symbol of no-nonsense resistance. But now, instead of reciting dialogue, he's delivering pointed critiques of Trump and the culture surrounding him. The timing of this street-level showdown seemed almost symbolic too. Trump's entire political ascent was built on the art of spectacle, with rallies and controversies that felt engineered for maximum media impact. De Niro flipping that script and battling with protesters outside a courthouse wasn't just a critique of Trump, it was a dig at the reality show antics his brand has long relied on. By directly engaging with Trump's supporters, De Niro was essentially rejecting the carefully curated nature of political discourse and getting real, and in doing so, he became a part of a broader trend where performances and activism merge, erasing the boundaries between cultural icons and grassroots resistance. Of course, this kind of bold move doesn't happen quietly. Once images and videos of the Manhattan confrontation began circulating, the media had a field day. Pundits debated the appropriateness of celebrities inserting themselves into these raw public disputes. Social media lit up with reactions ranging from applause to outrage, depending on where one landed in the political spectrum. Some were quick to frame De Niro as a hero standing up for truth, while others dismissed him as just another Hollywood liberal. Both responses, though, underscored one undeniable truth. This wasn't just about De Niro, this was about what he represented, a deeply polarized America where even Hollywood legends have chosen sides in what some view as an existential battle. It also reignited larger conversations about the role of cultural figures in politics. For generations, celebrities have wielded influence from an arm's length, preoccupied with maintaining their likability while occasionally dabbling in political endorsements. But these days, the gloves seem to be off. De Niro's courthouse confrontation felt like the natural next step in a world where the personal has become political, and political clashes are spilling onto the streets. It's a far cry from the celebrity culture of decades past, where stars were expected to stay in their lane. In 2024's America, the lanes have merged, and De Niro is steering straight into the chaos with no intentions of swerving. In the end, what happened that day wasn't just another celebrity-stirred controversy, it felt like a cultural marker. By engaging head-on with Trump's supporters, De Niro amplified the ongoing debate about free speech, fairness, and the very soul of the nation. Whether seen as an icon of resistance or Hollywood overreach, one thing is clear: De Niro's presence that day represented more than just one man's grievances. It represented a nation struggling to find common ground in a sea of division. And there, outside that courthouse, the fight wasn't just political, it was personal. Robert De Niro isn't just acting anymore. He's become a symbol of resistance, a walking reminder that anyone, even a Hollywood icon, can take a stand against figures like Donald Trump. In 2024, where the stakes feel like the soul of the nation itself, De Niro is showing that staying neutral is no longer an option. His actions remind us that free speech isn't just about making noise, it's about risking discomfort to defend democracy. And if there's one thing De Niro has proven, it's this: the drama shaping America isn't on a screen. It's playing out on our streets every day.